This is where the fun begins.
Hello there. How's it going?
Hey everyone, Hybrid Toy Reviews here, taking a look at the VeilsToys Aliexpress custom Commander Neyo and 91st Legion Troopers. So these are custom, I might quit doing that. They are knockoff figures that you can get on AliExpress, and VeilsToys, of course, is the company that has been making custom decos and filling in all sorts of gaps on the shelf, and they have gone a step above what they've normally been doing. They've been giving us just repaint Phase 2 clones. Waxer, Boyle, Tup, Kicks, Dogma, all of our Umbara gang. Commanders are a new court for them, and initial impressions, pretty good. So I want to get into it and just take a look at what we're getting here and see if I should be encouraging you to do this. They're knockoffs. They're immoral. It's a morality argument at that point. And we always have the debates in the comments, so I'll talk to anyone that has their concerns. But anyway, ordinarily I would start by taking a look at the packaging. They come in plastic bags in a brown box, so there's not really any packaging going on here. But come on, the packaging is just the garbage around me and my collectible anyway. We're not losers on this channel. We play with our toys. So let's get into the review and start playing with our toys. So here's Neyo and the 91st Grunt ready to go. I was about to say out of packaging, but again, no packaging. There was actually a third one that was available. It was Jester, his name was. And he basically was just Neyo without the straps, and he had a minigun. And I just, Neyo is that commander that has no lines. You see him briefly on a speeder bike. I don't even think we see 91st clones anywhere. And so I'm like, and just looking into it, Jester, I think he had a Wikipedia page, but barely, and it wasn't anything from the movie. And I was like, you know what, that's, even as a cloner, it was a little too deep a cut for me. So anyway, you're not going to be seeing any talk about Jester here, but Neyo and the Grunt are fine additions all the same. They come with the standard Clone Trooper rifle options. They are in the dark gray, almost black plastic. All of my short rifles had insane warping problems, and I was able to dunk them in some real hot water, straighten them mostly, and so they work. On these guys, I'm kind of liking the looks of the shorter rifles personally. So yeah, you have the blasters that you would want from, pretty much any clone. So I guess we'll start by looking at the Grunt first, because there's less new going on. So this is actually one of the first times that Veils has been using the 2023 Clone Trooper body. About 6 months ago, they did an ARF Trooper on it, and then they just did the white Clone Trooper. Now, I did a Topical Tuesday. I think I did 2 Topical Tuesdays on these knockoffs, talking generally about the morality and is it right and wrong, and I think it's a little bit of a gray area. I think one's just doing a straight white Clone Trooper that Hasbro has also done. I think you're kind of getting into a little bit of a gray area, where it's yeah, you're cutting into Hasbro's profit margin. I could understand that being a bit wrong. But something like this, where even though it's the Hasbro body, the fact that it has a unique deco to it makes it a different figure, in my opinion. It's a bit of a custom, if you will. And even if that customization is just a couple of red interrupted circles, I mean, it's what it is. I don't see Hasbro making this figure. And the thing is, if Hasbro announced tomorrow that a 91st clone is coming, then I think we should probably stop ordering this one, personally. So that's my take. But this is the 23 clone body, so it has that phenomenal articulation. And he's got the red interrupted circles. He's got one in the center of the chest. He's got one on his right temple, right bicep, and right thigh. And they're very cleanly applied. They're a nice red paint color, and they look really good. He has all the other decos neatly applied where they should be. He's got the blues on the sides of the helmet, the little gray punch-ins on the ears, the gray band around the back of the helmet. Visors are neatly painted. All of the black paint, in the joints and the undersuit, is very neatly done. And other than that, he's just a very clean clone trooper. And I think he looks really, really good. So even though he's a 23, and this is something Veils never really glues the helmets down, he has an unpainted clone helmet, or clone head, under the helmet. So it's removable, and it's actually very easily removed. But there's not really anything to gain from that. So if you're a customizer, you might have a great time. You might be like, hey, yeah, I'm going to paint that up. But I'm just going to leave the helmet on. And I'm also going to hold off on articulation until we get to Neyo, because same thing. You've seen the 23s at this point. I will say the plastic feels very comparable to Hasbro's. In some instances, sometimes these knockoffs can be a touch gummy. I will say that he has not necessarily looseness, but the joints are very fluid. There's none of that clicking, ratcheting that some of like the Hasbro figures have. Like these ankles, you can just bend them. It's not click, 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 click as you go. There's no detents that are going to make him want to lean forward or back and no in between. Like, yeah, I will say the knockoffs, in certain instances, I like the articulation a little bit better. So we'll get to that on Neyo, as said. But yeah, this is definitely the less exciting one. He's basically almost a Phase 2 clone anyway. But setting him off to the side, let's bring in Commander Neyo. So this one was awesome to see, I gotta say. Veils is no stranger to making a new part. They have done some custom commas, different weapons here and there, but they've never done a full-blown commander. But the nice thing is with every part they make, they now have that mold. So the next time they can use that part they made last time and then make an additional new part. And that's kind of where we have started to get here. So to make Commander Neyo, you need a new helmet and a new chest harness that mounts to the belt, and they've done very well here. Now, there are a couple of inaccuracies here that I will point out. I'm not going to bash Veils the same way that I would bash Hasbro, because Hasbro has infinite budget, and they have infinite resources, and if they get something wrong, you know, they're supposed to have Lucasfilm look over the products before they produce it. So there's a little bit of element of Lucasfilm being problematic, too, on every Hasbro release that has a problem. Whereas this was just, hey, there was a splash of oversight. And I'm going to also get into the nitpicky side of it a little bit too. Look, I've been doing some research on doing like a 501st approved costume. I'm not that guy that's nitpicking because, well, in the resource guide back in 2004, there was a promotional image. I kind of get hung up on what you see in the movie. So all you see in the movie is him from the front, in the dark, on a speeder bike. It's a blink and you miss it kind of thing. But I will say, he should have a little armor plate that sits over his shoulder that mounts to the strap there. That's missing. That's the glaring thing to me. Now, around back, he's supposed to have like a grenade, like a couple of grenades, I think like one above and one below. Those kind of don't bug me as much because, like, again, you never see the guy from behind. I think they were on like the '05 action figure and they were like in like the resource guide, but I'm just sitting here like, you know, I didn't see him in the movie. I'm a little less anal about those. The shoulder plate should have been included, especially, you know, molding the strap in. And there's a little like a spot there where it looks like there's like a peg hole, which I would guess, like, maybe they were thinking about it. Maybe they're like, hey, you know, the plate will have a peg, and then we'll use that to line it up, and then we'll glue it down. And just, for whatever reason, the armor plate never came into fruition. But the thing is, at the end of the day, man, he's a blink and you miss it commander, and I would give Hasbro a lot more grief on it. But it's a knockoff, you know? I mean, man, it passes the squint test. You know, I'm going to step 2 steps back from my shelf. I'm going to slightly squint my eyes. I'm going to be like, hey, yo, Commander Neyo's on my shelf. This is the first clone commander, other than if you really want to get technical and say they called the 501st Commander Apo in the Kenobi packaging. This is like our first commander in like 5 years, and it's not even Hasbro. So, like, I'm just happy to start adding to this collection again. But, yeah, looking at the helmet, this is a new sculpt made by Veils, and it looks very, very, very good. It features, again, that red marking on the temple, cleanly decoed in, and the sculpt work on the helmet is just impeccable. I really, really like how this turned out. When they make their own custom parts, you might be like, oh, I bet the knockoff parts are fuzzier and blurrier, and they just look, really bad on the Hasbro, like, refined body. Nope. The Veils parts have actually all looked really, really good. Now, similar to the Grunt, there is a blank head under there, but the Neyo helmet just fits to the head very, very tightly. And it can come off, but it's a job. And so a little portion of me is thankful that, like, this head isn't painted, because as tight as this helmet is on it, it would absolutely be wearing that paint down on every removal. The other thing is, again, blink and you miss it clone commander, so we don't even know what he looks like under the helmet. And don't give me that, well, in the one comic book he had, I'm not nitpicking. I'm just saying, dude was a 3-second in the movie commander, and this is scratching that itch for me. Unlike the Grunt, he features a solid red shoulder pad, and then otherwise his decos are the same. And he's the 23 clone body, other than that, and then the new belt that has the harness and the head. So he's not as intensely new as some figures have been, but he's still really, really good. To run through the articulation, and again, it's the 23 body, we should be familiar. Double ball neck, allows him to look that far up, which is great. You can basically bury his chin. That's pretty good. And then you can do your rotation. A ton of pivot in there. His arms can come up to a T-pose where there's a good butterfly joint in there. 360 at the shoulders, and the shoulder pads can go with it because it's the ring around the peg system. There's an upper bicep swivel. Single jointed elbows can go basically to 90 and swivel at the elbow. 360 on the wrists, with the left hinging in and out, and the right hinging up and down. He has a mid-torso ball joint that even under the strap can still articulate. He can crunch that far forward, that far back, which isn't a ton, but it's not the strap. It's just how the clones are. And then there's a ball joint that can pivot and twist in there. He can do basically the splits. He can kick really far forward, not much back. There's an upper thigh rotation, single jointed knees, which can go maybe a touch past 90 and then swivel. And then the feet can point really straight down, really far forward, and there's a forward-facing pin for rocker, allowing you to get him in some decently wide stances with both feet flat on the ground. Getting him stood back up, let's go ahead and do some size comparisons real quick. So there is Neyo and the 41st Grunt, and they stand right at the same height, which you love to see. Here they are next to the Phase 2 legit Hasbro clone. I don't have any knockoffs of that. And then here they are next to the B1 Battle Droid. The clone and the Battle Droid are from that Army Builder 2-pack there. And again, everyone's scaling very well so far. Here they are next to the Black Series Captain Rex. I would love to see Veils do a Captain Rex. Obviously, Hasbro has no interest in updating this, and I think that if Veils did a Captain Rex, he would actually have good articulation. And then here is a custom Commander Cody that I had Skywalker Hendrix make for me using a 2020 clone body and a Archive Commander Cody. He was able to put the parts on that were essential there, and it came out really good, and he painted it to match the size. So of course, that looks way better than everything else here. But looking across the board, everyone is basically rocking the same height. Love to see that on the clones. Battle droids are a touch taller. That's accurate. All in all, they scale nice, and he's just a fine addition to the Grand Army of the Republic. So at the end of the day, what do I think of the VeilsToys Knockoff Neyo and 91st Grunt? All in all, I really love these. I've had a great time getting these Veils figures as they've come out. They've really filled in a lot of gaps in the collection, and I'll talk about that briefly here. But all in all, these have been really well-made figures, and I know, like I said, there's a touch of moral questioning here. Should I be buying knockoff action figures? And my thing is, at this point, when it comes to these clones, I mean, if it helps you sleep at night to pass on them, hey, you got to do you. But if Hasbro was going to make these clones we want, they would have made them by now. I don't feel bad about this anymore. And I don't like buying the clones that Hasbro has made. I would rather, even if they're on the secondary market, I would rather buy the official Hasbro ones. But my thing is, people have been saying forever, hey, we want a Clone Trooper line. We want to be able to, every 2 or 3 months, have a new Grunt drop on Pulse that we can just buy 10 of and have a good squad on the shelf. And Hasbro's like, Clone of the Republic pack. You gotta buy a Mace Windu with that purple clone. What do you mean you want more than the one of that clone? And then like at least the Gree with Yoda was better, but still, I'm just getting tired of all the Hasbro games. I want to buy clones, and at the end of the day, if Hasbro wants to maybe jump through all these hoops and army build Jedi and shit, then I'm gonna buy the Veils. And now there's a rumor, and there's a leaked photo that goes with it, that there is a Commander Bakara coming, and my thing is like, man, Hasbro, you've had 12 years, but if Hasbro pipelines that Bakara before Veils inevitably makes it, because let's be fair, all they got to do is make a helmet and throw a comma on this guy. If Hasbro beats them, at least in dropping a pipeline on it, then I'll end up buying the Hasbro one. But man, if Veils put a Bakara on their website tomorrow, I'd buy it. I'm being straight up. It's just, Hasbro's had 12 years, and they have given us carbonized, and so many carbonized. And I like the credit collection. They've given us Holocom, and Holocom I like the concept of. It's just the choices have been bizarre. And like, again, whatever. But like, I want my clones, and people have been asking forever, and I'm just tired of asking. So yeah, I'm gonna buy what I want. And if you have a moral dilemma with it, hey, that's fine too. I think it's time for a fresh Topical Tuesday on some of these takes. But at the end of the day, if you can sleep at night having bought these, I highly recommend them. Hop on Aliexpress. If you search VeilsToys, you're not going to find the store, but if you search Clone Trooper, you'll see a listing that's $17.99 and up, or $89 or $39 or whatever, and then it has a bunch of clones. And then you got to scroll down to where it says the buyer info and it's Veils, and then you can go and look through his page that way, and you can favorite them as a seller. But they have a lot of really cool custom. And let's be fair, these are custom. I mean, this isn't, the base mold, yeah, that's intellectual theft from Hasbro. But I mean, like, come on, these parts that they're making and all the decos, like, Hasbro's not missing out on 91st Elite Squad money. Like, if they cared enough to try and make them, they would be. But come on, pick them up. They're cool. Although they are a little bit of a niche, blink and you miss it Legion. So if you're like, hey, I've got enough clones, I feel you there. I mean, I've got like a D-Tulf that's exploding with them, which means it's time for a second D-Tulf. But yeah, I highly recommend them. End of my ramble. Thanks for watching. It means a lot that you did. If you enjoyed, just leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that end of video stuff. I'll catch you next time. Until then, may the Force be with each and every one of you, and goodbye.